You're still watching the Eastern Business Report right here on the Afia Business Morning. On Tuesday, protesters from the All Indigenous Contractors Association of Nigeria staged a fresh protest at the Federal Ministry of Finance. The contractors say they are owed over 500 billion naira for government projects they have already completed and has been commissioned. They blocked entrance to the ministry and demanded immediate payment, accusing the federal government of giving repeated assurances but taking no action. The Ministry of Finance has not yet released an official statement. What is actually happening with government debts? Why is contractor payment such a recurring national problem? Joining me now to answer this is Mr. Chukwuma Ephraim, Executive Director, Lead Network Africa. You're welcome on the program, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Before we go into our analysis, let's play this video from the protest so our listeners can hear directly from those affected.
Thank you very much. From your first statement, they have not responded to our request. And we embarked on 3 days protest. That was starting from November 4th till 6th. After the National Assembly intervened, call us that they will sit the minister down over this matter. And we cut off the protest immediately. After then, we have been in dialogue with Minister of Finance. How is he going to pay us? He told us they have 1.5 trillion naira. That what they are owing us is very, very little, and they will pay us. But unfortunately, his story of same day, when you say we should come tomorrow, tomorrow remains tomorrow from the Minister of Finance. In fact, more than 6 times we have come here. In fact, last week, we are here throughout the night to see him before the Mr. President called upon him. And we have met him. How are you going to pay? He said we should go and meet the National Assembly. National Assembly is not the one that owed us. That is why we are here again. Our 150 billion to pay part of all indigenous contractors. And we say you should start the payment immediately. So far, you told us you have the money now. We don't know why it's causing delay. Specifically, when we collate, they are owing more than 500 billion for all indigenous contractors. Yes. We start this protest since we are here in September 4th. From August, we are here till 4th of September, after we have a meeting in the house of Honorable Minister Kalu. Honorable Deputy Speaker, House of Rep. And we have a robust discussion, promising us that it's going to pay. We only see warrants, there is no cash backing.
Abdullahi Yamani, member of all indigenous contractors of Association of Nigeria.
So what is the next line of action with regards to this ongoing protest?
Honestly speaking, let us make it very, very clear to the government. Nobody is against the government of the day. We have all contributed our quota towards the development of the country. We have invested our money through financing of some project of which the government went and commissioned it, and they have taken credit for it. In fact, if you look at what is happening in the economy is totally down because of lack of payment of the contractors. And we cannot take it any longer. To be honest with you people, the government of the day keep on borrowing and then service the foreign loan. How can we call this thing? You borrowed and you also service the money you have borrowed. Keep on paying interest and leaving your contractors, indigenous contractors, without payment. And these are the people that, driven the economic of the country. For that, we feel that it is necessary for the government to draw the attention of the government to pay the local contractors their money. All we are after is for the government to pay us our money. And to be honest with you, the Minister of Finance is not helping matters at all. He is not helping matters at all. There are some derogative statements being issued by him, of which a normal human being with his census cannot do that. When we told him that some of our members are dying, he said that people die every day.
Every day. That's wrong.
That is wrong of him, and it's unacceptable. There is no religion, there is no culture, there is no tribe that will permit that. Wishing your fellow human beings dead is totally unacceptable. Please, we all contributed our quota towards the development of the country and the economy. All we are after is for the government to pay us our money, and that is all.
And your full name, sir?
My name is Alhaji Yamani Abdullahi.
See, and it's been showcased by the government of the day. All we are asking for, pay us our money. This thing has brought a lot of poverty to our people. We have lost members. We have lost virtually everything we have in terms of the investments we have put into the budget. Interest keep running every day. We are now only praying to recover funds to pay and go back to normalcy. The government has constantly shifted our position. The government keeps lying to us through the Minister of Finance, and we cannot take it anymore. That is why we are here with them. We have less than 30 days to the end of the year, and their plan is to throw us into liability. And trust me, they will erode all the gains that this association has made for more than 15, 20 years of build up to where we are. That is the plan of this administration, and we are not going to take it with them lightly. We are going to be here.
When you say returning to normalcy, I understand you have issues with the banks. What's the status in terms of loans?
Most of the loans, on account of the loan, our members have lost properties. As a matter of fact, one of our members collapsed just 2 weeks ago in Makurdi, died from the presence of bankers coming to seize his property. So as far as we are concerned, we are appealing to Mr. President. If there's any president in this country that is business inclined, is the president of the day. You cannot erode the instrument through which your policies is being driven to the grassroots. We are the vehicle through which the policies of the government is taken down to the grassroots. We are the biggest employers of labor as far as this country is collectively. I have staff. Every one of us here have staff. We employ people. But as I speak to you, for the past 2 years, the 2024 budget, which we finance, there was no budget in 2025 at all. 2 years we have been starved of funding, and we have kept our workers going with the blood and the sweat on our brows. My name is Mr. Innocent Aswelime. Yeah, please. Yeah, I'm one of the executives.
This video was obtained from Galaxy Television social media page. We still have Mr. Okinwa with us here in the studio. Mr. Okinwa, I'd like to get your reaction to this.
Honestly, it's a very pathetic one that indigenous contractors, we have to face this from our government, despite all of the rhetorics, about encouraging indigenous contractors, being able to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. So it's multifaceted, because not paying them means they're losing value for money. They are losing trust with the lending institutions who has given them money to execute this particular project. And it's also impacting on their mental health, especially when you look at the uncertainty, frustrations that surround the repeated visits and advocacies and non-activism, taken to the government, and it seems you don't really know when. When you also now just oppose that with a back and forth, today, we've got some fund already available, we'll release that soon, or tomorrow go to the National Assembly. It's very frustrating. And little wonder if they allege that some of them have lost their lives in the process. We can agree with that, because, if you've done business, you can know how mentally strained someone could be when your money is hanging, honestly, because the life wire of business is money.
And from what the contractor said, some of them collected loans from the banks to do these jobs.
Yeah, and of course, there are no moratoriums on that loan. It keeps rising because it's meant to be paid within a specific time. And of course, what makes it a contract is that you have your own part of the pact, and government also have their own part of the pact. Now, when you don't deliver within the specified time, and maybe inflation impacts on the cost, you now have to come back to the government and say, pay. Will the government pay? There will be refusal. If you now check it on the flip side, how about when you're supposed to pay the people, right? Within a certain range of the value, right? Both cost of execution and now inflationary factors have played out on the money. You also look at more interest. Is the government going to compensate for all of that? And out of frustration, they are saying, you know what? Just pay off the basic. We know we've lost some money, but pay us. You could actually feel the frustration because at this time around, their rights should not be a privilege, right? Their rights should not be treated as privilege because if the government fails in its own part of the pact, right? Government as an institution can be sued. Ministries can be sued. And in that case, they not only deserve payment, but compensation and apologies from a responsible government.
How serious is a 500 billion naira contractor debt for Nigeria's economy?
It's quite serious because what the government has done in this regard is basically to starve that sector and make it dysfunctional. So just imagine, right? Like, almost like if you look at the volume of the cash we are talking about, it's almost like the basic liquidity aside from other forms of capital, maybe equipment they have, manpower, that they actually need to keep the industry running. And then governments, emasculates all of those funds and, it's not even responding. Now you are not giving them incentives, right? You're not even like in any way making some funds available, accessible at maybe single digits. But this time, the ones they have had and the ones they don't have that they borrowed, you emasculated all of the funds and just tie them down, right? Tie down the industry. And sadly, one would wonder for the same government that has had to work with some foreign contractors and to a very great extent try to meet up, right? Whether it's from China or some other some other companies that has its origin, either in the West or whatever. You try to fulfill your part of the pact. What you've just done is, okay, keep your relationship with them going, keep those industries thriving. We use the local alternatives are not having the opportunity of the breath of fresh air. And what that will mean is that it will mean continued endless dependence, right, with our local alternative. And you can't be talking about saving or protecting your currency running on such kind of models. A model that disregard local content and we always prefer if it is coming from outside. And that has been one of our major problems, ranging from oil, ranging even from cultural exchange, right? To agriculture and everything. So it's more or less like there's that value for that which is exotic, right? Whether it's okay, alternative for finding tourism, right? It's glamorous for someone to travel, maybe in those snowy places this time around, take some photos and, you understand? We've not come to find a way to create our own narrative and take pride in it. Meanwhile, I was telling my wife, I say, the simple truth is that many people who's not been in the snow always think it's fun, especially when someone puts out all those overall and trying to make snowballs. But, those there know how depressing it could be. Someone could actually fall into depression. You want to die out of cold. Meanwhile, somebody have a great weather is not feeling he's better, right? He's not feeling more blessed. And that's the irony of life. That someone who is more disadvantaged could feel more privileged. And yet your less privileged feeling could actually make you the less privileged, the person that should be pitied, because you don't understand the advantages.
All right, Mr. Okinwa. The question is, why does federal government repeatedly delay payments for completed projects? Because this is not the first time we're hearing this. The first time I was having a conversation with someone and the person said, the government, I don't know if it's a state or federal level, was owing them a certain amount of money, and that project had been commissioned. And I was like, why would you do a project and not collect your money? So this is something that has been recurring. Why is this? Is there a failure in the system?
Yeah, what I would say is that our system has been largely characterized with, when you talk about rule of law, absence of rule of law, and without any corresponding consequences, right? So instead of rule of law, what you have is rule of strong men. So it's more or less like an individual can decide. In fact, when you talk about government in Nigeria, if it's at the federal level, you're talking about Tinubu. If it's at the state level in Enugu, you're talking about Pitamba, right? In developed nations, it's not so, because there is accountability. Public funds remain public. So if there is an agreement, in fact, you have like little, you don't have that overarching power or dominance to actually decide in all cases who gets what. I mean, when people do the job, there is already self-check on the system to ensure that, okay, if this money was appropriated during the budget, that you want to do this and this. Now the money has been approved by either the National Assembly or State Assembly, and some fundings have been made available, right? Here, the monies are released to the people. And when you don't do that, there are consequences. If the person file up, maybe to the industrial court, right? To try. I mean, it's even going to come with like fines. But the unfortunate thing is that our executive are also not just executive in Nigeria, but they're also judiciary and legislature, right? I mean, it's almost like a tradition now that during budget passing, whether at the state level or at the federal level, what you see legislators do is, hail either the governor or the president when he's speaking, right? I mean, you can't just in fact, I'm just even imagining a situation where, as reasonably expected, somebody raise up the hand to interrogate. I mean, the look that others is going to give you, like, I mean, where are you coming from, right? Are you from Togo or Gabon? Don't you understand what the tradition is here? That the normal tradition is present. I mean, if not, for now, I still don't even find a reason why the governors or presidents still bow. That's the only aspect of the law they still respect. When you are presenting the budget, you just bow like you are truly loyal. But none of those people, whether at the state level or the federal level, can actually call the leaders to account. Meanwhile, the Constitution empowered them to play oversight functions. Don't forget that part of the oversight function also could even mean that when you commit impeachable offenses, they can also impeach you. But I mean, any governor can just put all the legislators, I mean, it's normal, right? Sometimes maybe at state level, you see legislators singing the praises of the governor, or even using the photos of the governor as their DPs and all the rest of it. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with political solidarity, but if what we learned in basic government, if there's any merit in it, that independence, right, and interdependence of the three arms of government, and that equality to help to serve as a check on themselves, then we want to see more robust engagement in the legislation and in the judiciary. And when that is not happening, when like even before you sue a government for not paying you your contract, they already know what will be the outcome, then it's frustrating. Because when you go there, they can even say, okay, for this man delaying, he's not going to get his money, even though it will reappear in the budget for 8 years. I will ensure, haven't you seen that for contractors? Like there are some people, like they did jobs 10 years ago, past 2 administrations, right? And they never got their money. It's frustrating.
Monies were released for this. It's not like the monies were not released. And according to what the protesters said, the Minister of Finance have been giving them, assuring them, would pay you today, would pay you tomorrow. We'll have the monies here, come to the office, go there, go there. But they've still not gotten their money. What is happening behind the scenes?
Now, what I see, now let me tell you one of the things that happened. So, for them not to have gotten the money, that means the minister likely has not gotten a nod from the president. In politics, just like in everything, you all have to take the blame for your boss, right? I mean, he's not expected to say Tinubu has not released anything now, or he has not given express instruction, I should pay. He will take the blame. I have the money. Why are you not paying? No explanation. Or go to the National Assembly. But I can tell you, and that is where the weakness of institution plays out, because even the slightest things really need the nods oftentimes of either the president or the governor, right? Every appointment, whether it's essay on this, whether it's, you understand, everything, like you just have to be sure that you know who is coming up on board, right? And that's where the problem is, where like you put the entire system in your pocket. So that's what is happening. I can tell you that I feel that Wale has not gotten the approval to pay the money. If he has, then of course not paying the money would mean that it's an affront on his boss. But of course, at the same time, he's also not going to blame his boss. So whenever you see someone who is sent to play a role, either sometimes shifting it to himself or to others.
So you feel he has the money?
Well,
They have the
he
money.
may not actually have the money.
Okay.
He may not, right? If he has gotten the approval to pay the money and he has the money, then sitting back with the money is a risk to his job. So I see that he's playing a Maradona job for his boss.
So who should take ultimate responsibility for this?
It's the president, of course, because if you want to blame the MDAs, how independent or interdependent are the MDAs? I mean, to what extent, right? Since even in some cases, even the awarding of the contracts, right? I mean, you still have to go through either the presidency or the governor to get like contract. You don't just come and say, okay, submit all of, maybe bid. When even contracts are, we don't even know when it's published, right? Maybe tenders where you can bid, and then competitive process, and then selections are made. There are a kind of procedure, for managing of public funds, when it comes to contract. But oftentimes it's not followed, and there are no consequences, right? It's only when we begin to hear, I didn't get my money, because even the guys also can also shortchange their cronies, right? Who say, give me a contract, and you are happy you got a government contract. And at the end of the day, because of your connection.
So how long is it supposed to take for these contractors to get their money after doing their job?
No, there is like a contract. Everything is all reflected. Okay. Every contract is flexible and have like terms of reference, right? So everything is clearly spelled, depending on the project timeline. So for them to be crying foul means the money has really lasted, right?
Overdue.
They have executed, or they have done part of. Because for some, it could be like, okay, do this job to this extent, right? Invest this, you get the first tranche of cash to enable you to complete. And if you've done, the government has not released or have released too little, and that means the loan you are owing, the money you collected to execute that project, will really be on you, and you just wondering, how do I regulate myself out of this? And a responsible government would say, come on, where do we truly expect these guys to get the money to bail themselves out? It's almost like using state powers against the state, right? And it's not going to take the government anything to actually pay these monies, right? Anything. And what even makes it even smart is that all the monies you'll be paying them will be circulated within. So what are you afraid of, right? I mean, you have the CBN there. They are not asking pay us in dollars. It is your money, the money you regulate, right? Give them their money.
Now, this is 500 billion, over 500 billion naira debt added to trillions of naira the government is owing. And this is the one we're hearing of. We don't know other contractors they are also owing as well. What does this say about Nigeria?
So what it shows is it's lack of accountability without consequences. Because the truth of the matter is that government is a platform, but then the platform is mediated by human agents. And apart from the fact that ordinarily we would say that you are getting people who are more responsible, who really feel the pain of people to occupy those roles would be more strategic and easier to achieve positive outcomes. But beyond that, permit me to say that it's always better to have a stronger system, stronger institutions than maybe one good man on top, right? When you have like strong institutions, then it doesn't matter who is involved. There's the extent you can bend the institutions just to drive your own agenda. But in Nigeria, since the advent of Tinubu's administration, we've seen all kinds of compromise from different institutions. There was a time we had the military saying that their loyalty is to the president, right? That's not constitutional. Your loyalty as a military person is to the Constitution. That's what you hear a US Army, a UK Army, other nations, that's what they will say. So why would anybody want to say that, right? In Nigeria, we've seen legislators saying on your mandate we shall stand. We've seen also recently in the judicial conference, right? The same song was played and no protest, all of them stood to it, right? We've also seen Mr. President brag, am I not the president? I will give you the governorship for Edo State. And he did that single-handedly, despite the fact that it was visibly, a state dominated by PDP. And there was that popular statement that they don't know with Lagos. But the narrative was really harshly confronted by the strong man who has the capacity to hijack institutions without consequences. So I think the earlier we begin to strengthen our institutions, to realize that there is no one man that owns the nation. No one man. Being the president doesn't mean you gave us the constitution. You gave us the money. You gave us our life. You gave us our land. Yeah, I mean, what makes you more citizen of Nigeria than yourself? Like I always tell people, I said the president of Nigeria is no more Nigerian than I am. Anybody can be there tomorrow. Being there doesn't make you better. Somebody must be there. But if you are there, what are you doing? You don't see it, okay, you are successful because you became a president. Becoming a president doesn't make people successful. It is the impact that you make using that office. It is what you're able to achieve for your nation. Unfortunately, decades past, we've had like a human tragedy, right? Expressing themselves as leaders, frustrating people, right? Moving monies away to other climes. And, you could see that decline both in the health sector, in the business sector. Things are getting hard. And wheels, they have not even built the country. The models they are now replicating. You've not replicated like some social nets in the UK and US. Now you are replicating taxation policies. You want to kill the same people who are dying. So you can't tell me, okay, in UK, they pay this tax, they do this, and you understand. We are not in the UK. There are things that UK and US did, right? Before they got to the place they were. I mean, US is the only nation, only democracy, right? Became a democracy through a revolution from the Great Britain. And how that happened was so much of taxes on some basic things like sugar, tea, right? And they revolted, decided to build a land of the free. Now is their taxation policy strong in the US? Yes. But they have been able to build an economy, a land of dreams, right? Where anybody can try, where the son of nobody can become somebody. That's the enabling environment we are talking about, not you just wake up one morning and say, in the UK, the taxation policy is this, in the US. If we don't tax people, we can't become like them.
We can increase our IGR. All right, Mr. Okinwa, before we let you go, what advice would you give to these contractors now? Do you think they should take legal action, or are there better alternatives?
Yeah, well, I think the only better alternative I see aside from legal action would actually be let them start engaging all of the critical stakeholders. It could be the Sultan, right? It could be like some strong party stakeholders, right? You know, some very people who has got that influence. Maybe Sheikh Gumi might even be of help this time around. Because honestly, right? If you go to court, I mean, your judgment would just write, you understand, and show Mr. President. He says, okay, you can go ahead and read it. You understand? How the judiciary has just been so reduced to almost nothing in Nigeria. It's very sad. Like, very, very sad that, I mean, you saw even a time where the judgment written was flying on the air before. It's as bad as that, right? It's as bad as that. So it's sometimes also you see counter judgment. You know what happened in Kano? In one of the judgments that circulated earlier, right? You know, it was meant to be someone from another party, but then in the signing, it was not meant to be another. That's the kind of confusion we see in the judiciary, right? And everywhere. So legal action sometimes, like having confidence in the court, might be at your own detriment, right? You know, you might just be fortunate in some rare cases to have some fearless judges. But what about their colleagues? Because one person cannot pass judgment, right? It's still like a vote, right? If you have 5 judges, you need up to 3 to think that this is the right path. Otherwise, likelihood of getting fairness is oftentimes wishful thinking.
Quite unfortunate. Thank you, Mr. Okinwa, for joining us on the STEM Business Report today.
You're welcome.
And that's as much we can take on the STEM Business Report today. Until I see you tomorrow for another edition of the Afia Business Morning, I am Marvelous Apuamaga. See you tomorrow.